The race for northeastern Wisconsin's 8th congressional district is considered the state's most competitive congressional race this year, and it may be one of the top races in the country. Outagamie County Executive Tom Nelson, the Democrat, faces Iraq War vet Mike Gallagher, the Republican, for the open seat. Gallagher was our guest on Upfront 3 weeks ago. Tom Nelson joins us now on Upfront. Mr. County Executive, good to have you on the program today. So let's talk a little bit about your background. And you've spent some time in elected office. You served in the state assembly. You've served as Outagamie County exec. It's an unusual election year. Is that a plus or a minus, your public service that you've done to date?
Well, I think that every election cycle is unique, and I think it's safe to say that this is probably the most unique election cycle that we've ever confronted. One of the best compliments that I get as Outagamie County executive, and it happens about once a week or so, is, Tom, we really like what you're doing as the county executive and for the county, but did you ever think about getting back into politics?
And they don't see that as a political job?
Exactly, and that kind of summarizes my public service, that the work that we do in Outagamie County, it's not viewed in a partisan lens. There isn't such thing as a Democratic airport or a Republican airport or a Democratic recycling operation. People look to us to get things done. And I'm very proud of the record that I have as county executive. We've passed 5 consecutive budgets on time, balanced budgets. We've maintained a AAA bond rating, and we've fully funded all the services that we are responsible for.
So briefly, you do not see it as a negative?
No, not at all.
Okay. Let's talk a bit about the issues in this race and what's going to ultimately distinguish you from your Republican opponent, Mike Gallagher. What's the defining issue or issues in this race?
Fast becoming the top issue, and if you would have asked me this 2 months ago, I wouldn't have said this, but I think Social Security is really becoming the big issue. We've been going back and forth on this, and the reason why I think it's so big, first of all, there are 150,000 SSI beneficiaries in the 8th Congressional District, and the distinctions between where I stand on this issue and where my opponent stands on this issue could not be more clear. On one hand, my opponent has said in his own words that he wants to reduce benefits to the poverty line. And he's not retracted that statement.
But not for current beneficiaries, correct?
He has said that he has made it very clear that he wants to reduce benefits he wants to reduce benefits to the poverty line. And he supports a plan that would do this, that would affect this for about 2/3 of seniors. On top of that, he has not retracted that statement. He has doubled down. He's gone so far to say that we should raise the retirement age, and he's tripled down talking about going to a chained CPI. Now that's one direction to go, and that is weakening Social Security. It is changing Social Security as we now know it. I believe what we need to go is we need to go in the opposite direction. We need to strengthen Social Security. We need to make sure that's here for current generations and future generations. And the reason why this is so important to me, not just because it affects 150,000 people in northeast Wisconsin, but about 10 years ago, when my grandfather was getting up there in age, he had said to me at the time I was in the state assembly, and he said, if you ever find yourself in Washington, if you do nothing else, please do all that you can to save and strengthen Social Security. Because for my grandfather, all he had in the later years was family and Social Security. It made a huge difference for him and for his generation.
So that's become the number one issue. But I do want to push back on that because factcheck.org said the ad was false that you're running right now. They said that it makes it sound like beneficiaries, current beneficiaries, people near or receiving Social Security today are going to have their benefits cut when that's simply not the case. Your response to that?
Well, I don't think we need to make this any more complicated. If it looks like a duck, if it quacks like a duck, it's a duck. We are not construing anything one way or another or making his statement seem something else. He has said in his own words, and he said this on more than one occasion, that he wants to reduce benefits to the poverty line. The last thing that we need to be talking about or suggesting when it comes to Social Security is saying that. He has said that on more than one occasion, and he refuses to back down from those comments.
Well, we were talking about Social Security. Let's talk about national security for a moment. Are you comfortable with what the Obama administration has done to defeat ISIS? Do you think the current strategy is effective? Is it working? Should it be changed? If so, how?
Well, I think that this is also a very big issue, and there are things that the Obama administration has done that I agree with, and some things that I do not. I think when you look at this upcoming Congress and you look at the role of the Congress and members of Congress, they have the power of the purse. And I think when it comes to an issue of this great of importance, we have to do all that we can to fully fund all of the initiatives and all the strategies by the president when it comes to national security, especially when it comes to fighting and defeating ISIS.
Democratic candidate in the 8th Congressional District, Tom Nelson, the Outagamie County Executive. It's good to have you on the program. And my conversation with Tom Nelson continues now on the web. We're talking trade, immigration, and whether the presidential contest could impact his race. Just go to the upfront section of WISN.com. Our editorial partner, WisPolitics.com, keeps you up to date on elections around the state. Just check out the election blog at WisPolitics.com. Coming up next on Upfront, the final sprint starts tomorrow.